You guys are live.
Good morning. Good morning. I want to welcome everyone to our May 15th Village Board meeting. Before we begin, let's please do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have you, King, on? He was going to try to make it if he could, but I don't see him on, so we'll continue without his words of wisdom. So I want to open it up with public comment today. So if anybody wants to call in and has a public comment, I encourage you to do so. There should be a number scrolled along the screen. We'll give a few minutes to wait and see if we get any calls.
Hugh King just joined the meeting, and let's see if he'll start his video.
Okay. I understand Hugh King just joined the video, so we're going to let him do his thing if he's on.
There he is. Hi, Hugh.
I don't see him
Hi,
yet.
everyone.
There he is.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Are you ready?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, did you all get a copy of my missive about opening up Home Sweet Home?
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess I'm a month ahead of Governor Cuomo. So could you all think of those as protocols when we do open, if we do open, okay? And if the board has any more ideas or any more points that you'd like to emphasize about those protocols, just let me know and we will incorporate them, okay?
Okay, thank you.
I think you should hire, though, if you could, Francine Hanford and John DeStillwell at this meeting without the opening date of May 22nd. So when we do open, they'll be ready to go. That sound okay?
That's great. Yes, they're on the agenda. That's what we're
They're on
doing.
the agenda, okay.
Yes.
And you know, my point about the windmills, I think we should wait on the windmills until near the end of June, because we'll know more. We don't open up the Hook windmill until July and August anyway. So is that okay?
That's fine. Yeah. Anybody, how about the rest of the board? Is that fine?
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Fine by me.
Okay. The only other thing then that I have is, are we going to allow people to walk around Home Sweet Home and look at the gardens?
I personally don't have a problem with it as long as they social distance and they're wearing masks.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
There'll be nobody there to tell them what they need to do if they're not. In other words, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, they would have to. Yeah, they would have to self-police, I guess. I'm not opposed to having them view the gardens. I think it's a good thing, and they're beautiful gardens, and it's nice to be outdoors. But I think they would have to use the protocols that are in place at the time that they're viewing the garden.
Do you think we need signage?
I'm thinking that maybe we'll put some signage up, yes. How does everybody else feel? I think that's what we should do.
We put signage up at the nature trail. I'm sure Dave Collins could work with us and get some signage for there too. Just reminding people to socially distance and wear a mask and so forth. Mm-hmm. Good idea, Hugh.
Do you want me to contact the Superintendent Collins then? And
yeah,
please, if you could do that, I appreciate it.
I got it. We'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I don't think there's anything more for me to say if you're all satisfied somewhat with those protocols, and then we could revisit them before we open if you have some more input.
That'd be great. Sure. Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You got plenty to do. I'll see you.
All right. Thank you. Have a nice day. Okay, so do we have any callers? We're opened up for public comment.
We have, well, it seems to be two callers on the line, but they have the same name, so I don't know if that's a glitch. We'll just make sure that this is all good.
Okay, sure.
Hey, good morning. It's Jerry Larson. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I have some comments and questions for the board. Again, I'm Jerry Larson. I'm candidate for East Hampton Village Mayor. And I'd like to ask a couple of questions. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Sure.
I can.
All right,
Sure,
so
go ahead.
my first question is, can you hear me?
Sure, yes,
Rick, can you hear me?
yes.
All right, great. All right, so I have a question about the overnight parking. The village code has a section about overnight parking. And I want to know why, during a pandemic, has the village board directed the police department to aggressively enforce the overnight parking regulation when families have full capacity homes and may not have room on their properties?
I don't think that was an accurate description. No, nobody was aggressively enforcing anything. I think in at least one case, we had some complaints, and I think valid complaints that certain individuals had received summonses for parking there prior and wanted to know why some cars had been parked there overnight when there was adequate parking right nearby. So I asked the chief if he would look into it for me, and as far as I know, he took care of it, and there's been no complaints since, to my knowledge.
Well, I've certainly heard complaints, and your policy has changed since the way it was. It used to be that you could park on the roadway if there were marked parking spots, and then on the roads that didn't have marked parking spots, you had to park on the grass, which I've never really understood that logic. But is that still currently your policy or not?
Well, there was, yeah, you're correct. There was a policy for a short period of time in order to help or actually several businesses, I guess it was, in which the parking in certain areas was relaxed. That has been, to my knowledge, going for quite a few years now, because that particular business is no longer in business. So I'm not aware of anything going forward past that. Now, what the department's been doing, I'll have to consult with the chief and see exactly what he's been doing.
Yeah, because it was a total change about a month ago, and I was just wondering why you would start enforcing the rules differently in the middle of a crisis. That's all. That's why I'm asking the question. So you don't know anything about it then, Rick? This is all done by the police department?
Well, no, it's not that I don't know anything about it. Of course, we're the ones that, set the parking regulations with the code to begin with. But I will tell you this, if you have more questions, I'll be glad to sit down with you and the chief and discuss it.
All right, great. All right, my next question is, has the board directed the police department to do any enforcement of people not wearing masks when they have to, when they have to disregard the 6-foot social distancing requirement?
Well, that's a case-by-case call by the police department, but the governor has requested that local jurisdictions enforce that part of his emergency declaration. And in fact, if I recall correctly from his declaration, there could be up to $1,000 fine. We, of course, would not want to do that. So we've asked for people's compliance. And to my knowledge, they've willingly complied for the most part. I couldn't tell you offhand how many complaints we've had. I don't think there has been that many, or the chief would have alerted me to it, but it's been on the policy is that the department would respond to complaints and preferably handle it with a voluntary compliance. And to my knowledge, that's the way it's been handled thus far. But there is that option that we would not want to have to use, that the governor's order specifies that there can be a summons issued and there could be a fine up to $1,000. But we did not do that. The governor did that in his order.
No, I understand that. It's Order 202.17. It was issued on April 17th when it went into effect, that mandates that people who cannot avoid being in the 6-foot social distancing rule must wear a mask, and it's not being enforced. It's not being done. There's no enforcement of it. I was up on Mother's Day all over the village. There is no enforcement going on. So, I mean, I think you should look into that. I mean, we want businesses to open, and we're not even helping ourselves.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, yes, go ahead, Chief. Could you interject?
There's enforcement going on, Jerry, and that's just not fair. There was a lot of calls initially when the town put up numerous signs all over indicating you had to wear the mask outside. And obviously, we all know you have to wear the mask outside if you cannot adequately social distance. We all know what that is. And for the most part, people have been compliant. They've been behaving. There's not a lot of people walking around, other than to and from the beaches. The village has been very quiet. And it's just not fair to say that we haven't been telling people to wear masks. And more often than not, when we've gotten complaints, the complaints have been unfounded because it's either someone with a mask, someone riding a bicycle, and so forth. So we haven't had a heck of a problem with it, nor have we had a lot of comments or calls, or none from what I've been told, none that I can see about people walking around the village not wearing masks. We've had locations where you've had the duck trail or the beaches where people say, oh, people aren't wearing masks. And invariably you go up there and almost everyone has a mask around their neck, or they have a mask somewhere on them, or they have a mask in their hand. So that's really not, I don't consider that to be a valid complaint.
So I would also say, Jerry, just 1 minute. I would also point out that there is a picture on the internet with you and one of your running mates, shoulder to shoulder, not wearing masks. So it seems to me that this might be a little bit disingenuous to be coming on our board meeting here to try to raise an issue where there has not been an issue. So I think we should point that out to everybody. All right. So if you're going to complain about masks, then you should be abiding by it as well.
Okay. I am going to complain about the mask. And Mike, I have to disagree with you. You should take a ride up to the beach and down Lily Pond Lane on the weekends. It is packed and no one is abiding by the rules, and there is no visible enforcement. I'm not going to argue with you about it. I'm just making a comment that it should be looked into. If you don't believe there's an issue, I think you're wrong. All
okay,
right,
thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate it.
Yeah. My next point is I agree with reducing the capacity at the beaches. I just think you're doing it the wrong way. I think you should be blocking off every other parking spot and not blocking off half the parking lot, then making everyone park in one area, which then forces them to violate the 6-foot social distancing requirement as they get out of their vehicles. So maybe you should rethink that as well.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Appreciate it.
All right, and my last comment, obviously about the appointment of Ray Harden. Has that been done? I see him on the screen.
It is planned to be done. It's on our agenda for today, yes.
All right, so should I wait? Are you going to give comments after the fact, or should I comment now?
You're welcome to comment now. Go ahead.
Okay, so I disagree with the appointment, just like I did in January when you tried to do it then. And I find it not acceptable. I think you're only doing this to create incumbency for the election. This is the most contested election in village history. You have 5 people running for trustee. I think this is wrong. I think you're only doing it to give the edge to your candidate over Chris Minardi, and I think it's the wrong thing to do. I also think, Rick, you're only there as an appointed temporary mayor. You haven't been elected. I don't think you should be changing the ZBA boards or the planning boards at this point. You should save that for when the mayor who gets elected to do this. Those are my comments. I'd like a response, if you will.
Okay, well, listen, I thank you for your comments. I appreciate it.
That's your response? Nothing else?
Right, that's my response. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. We'll take them into consideration.
Thank you.
Any other callers?
We currently have no other callers on the line.
Okay, so while we're waiting for callers, I believe some of my colleagues on the board had a comment. So Trustee Graham, did you say you had a comment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I do have a comment, and it's regarding the appointment of Ray Harden to the board.
Okay.
I wish to go on record in opposition to appointing a new board member at this time. We discussed this very point in March when Mayor Lawler and Deputy Mayor Borsak were in favor of appointing Mr. Harden, and Trustee Brown and I were in favor of allowing the voters to make that choice. After all, voters should make the decision, not an appointee appointing another appointee. In the past 2 vacancies of the board, the mayor proposed a candidate and the board voted them in by resolution. We should certainly follow this example. We are currently a board of 4 elected trustees. We can manage the village effectively with this group as we have done since the first of the year. The board changed the code to allow 16 seats in fast food restaurants. We're adopting the Herrick Park plan. We've reviewed and are ready to vote on the budget in June. We've also voted on legislation and adopted protocols to address issues presented by COVID-19, not to mention the day-to-day operations of the village. Were one of us to become incapacitated, we could consider adding a neutral trustee at that time. There is no legal doubt that the mayor has the ability to fill a vacancy on the board. However, for that mayor, along with his fellow Elms Party mayoral candidate, to decide to add their running mate to the board without the support of the other 2 trustees is nothing more than a naked power grab for total control of the board. And to do that with an unelected trustee appointed by an unelected mayor smacks of the kind of crony politics that the voters of East Hampton Village should reject come the election in September. I have no personal animus against Ray Harden. What I object to is the mayor putting his thumb on the scale in an attempt to influence the election and marginalize the voters. I just hope that Ray votes in the interest of the village and not that of the Elms Party. The mayor is going to do what he's going to do, and I have no control over that. But I do think the people of the village in East Hampton should remember this behavior come September 15th. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Graham. Anybody else?
I also have a statement that I'd like to read.
Sure.
This isn't easy, but I believe it's my responsibility as an elected official to do so. And as I tell my 3 kids, the right thing to do is often the most difficult. Neither Trustee Graham or I support the appointment of a trustee at this time. This is the first time in recent history where a candidate has been appointed to trustee without the benefit of the full board's confirmation vote. This has nothing to do with the candidate and everything to do with the process. I've known Ray since I was 10 and I was on his basketball team, and my husband Greg has known Ray forever. They're in the fire department. This is about the process. It was with great disappointment and shock that I recently learned of the mayor's decision. And while the mayor has the authority to do this, it doesn't make it the right thing to do. In recent history, Bruce Siska was appointed to trustee in 2011 by a unanimous vote. And following that same precedent, in 2016, Bill O'Connell was also appointed to trustee by a resolution in a unanimous vote by this board. Mayor Lawler was not elected a mayor by anyone. He is an appointed mayor, and now he is naming a trustee to the board without a vote by its members. We appointed Rick Lawler to mayor in January of this year as he was serving as deputy mayor at the time. We decided to leave the trustee position open since the June election was only 5.5 months away, and to let the village residents who should be making this decision decide who they wanted to represent them. The board has been operating with 4 members since then. What is different now? What is the urgency? Why are we breaking with tradition? Mayor Lawler, acting under a critical need pretense, decided it is important to fill the vacant trustee position immediately. He says we owe it to the people. We owe it to the village resident. I say we owe it to the village resident to call this what this is. It is an attempt to set the table and influence the outcome of the future election. In March, at the apex of this crisis, the mayor tried to push this appointment through, and we adamantly argued against it, and we ultimately decided to function with 4 members and let the people decide at election time. Hopefully, we are now turning the corner on this devastating pandemic. And instead of focusing on how best to serve the village as we deal with health, safety, and economic concerns and issues related to the virus, we are orchestrating and maneuvering to influence the next election. For 5 months, we have been governing effectively, and here we are in May with only 4 months to go to the September election. And it's imminently important to appoint a trustee. This critical appointment will give the Elms Party the unassailable majority of the board and create and provide the gift of incumbency to the Elms Party candidate for trustee. Clearly, this is a cynical attempt to stack the deck and influence the outcome of the upcoming election. This appointment is nothing more than a power grab by the Elms Party. And this plan can probably be traced back to Paul Rickenback's early resignation in December, which set up this scenario. And now it has come to fruition. As many of you know, I was elected almost 2 years ago now, along with Trustee Graham. And we won these seats because the informed village voter was yearning for some change, transparency, open and respectful government. And I have full faith and confidence in the village voter that they will want us to conduct business with openness and transparency. That's good governance. I request the mayor reconsider his position. In any case, I ask the people of the village to come out in September to vote for the candidates of their choice, not the choice of the unelected mayor trying to influence a very important, unprecedented, contested election.
Thank you, Rose. I appreciate your comments. I just think there's some assumptions there that should be cleared up. It is true that Bruce Siska and Phil O'Connell were appointed by the board, but when my conversations with the mayor, it was clear that he had the authority to do it. He had asked the rest of us, and we all agreed that it was the best thing to do. And so that's what happened. That's why it was a unanimous vote. But he made it clear, at least in my mind, that if it wasn't a unanimous vote, he had the authority to do it, and he would have done it anyway. So we'll just clear that up because I was there. So that's not an assumption. I think it's strange that both of you supported Ray wholeheartedly until Tiger decided to run for mayor, and then that changed. So I think we should point that out and just make it clear to the people. I think that, you accuse me of playing politics. I don't know. I think some other bystanders might say that there are other people playing politics here. But anyway, that's my opinion. Anybody else have any comments?
No, I would just like to say I fully agree that the voters will make the decision in September. And right now we need the extra, not pair of hands, but the extra brain. This is a really difficult time we're going through. And this was the mayor's suggestion, and I don't disagree with it because we've been working very hard. So I'm happy to have another person on board. I don't think that this board, as the 4 of us have been disagreeing on much. So I don't see that it's a power play. I would hope that we're all working in for the benefit of the residents, that it's not a political thing at all. But I give the voters plenty of credit. They can certainly make their decision in September, but in the meantime, we need the extra help, and I'm happy to have an extra person on board. So,
and I agree with that. I think the voters in this village are very savvy and intelligent, and they certainly will make their own decision, no matter what happens here today. And I will be honest with you, nothing that I've heard today has changed my opinion. And it is not political for me. It's a decision that I think has to be made and is in the best interest of the residents of this village. And again, in September, they'll make that decision. So it's still my intention to go ahead and appoint Ray Harden as village trustee. And in order to do that, I just want to give you a little bit of background first. Ray is a longtime resident of the village who currently serves as vice chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. He also serves on the East Hampton Town Licensing Review Board. He is a member of the East Hampton Fire Department and rose to the rank of chief of the department. He is also a fire coordinator for the Suffolk County 9th Division and is president of the Firemen's Benevolent Association. And I think all those things make him eminently qualified for the position of village trustee. Again, if this were political for me, I would have appointed Ray several months ago. After I was appointed mayor this past January, it was decided to leave the trustee position open until the election on June 16th. Then, of course, came the coronavirus and all the unknown possibilities associated with it. The recent decision by the governor to postpone the village election another 5 months until September 15th of this year gave me doubts about leaving the trustee position unfilled. The COVID virus is still a very real threat that could possibly have negative repercussions on the ability of this board to govern effectively. The election could be further delayed if there is a resurgence of the virus, which is a very real concern of medical experts. A board member could suddenly become ill. A board member could be absent during a meeting, or a board member could abstain or recuse themselves from a particular vote. Or with only 4 trustees, there could be a tie vote on an important piece of legislation preventing any action from being taken on that legislation. Therefore, I feel strongly that I owe it to the residents of this village to make sure they have a complete and thorough representation in their government. Everyone who knows Ray will tell you that he will make decisions based on his conscience and not based on any party political affiliation. That is why I hereby appoint Ray Harden to the East Hampton Village Board of Trustees pursuant to the authority granted to me by New York State Village Law Section 3-312, which reads in part, the mayor's appointment to fill a vacancy that occurs in a village office is not subject to board approval. Now, Becky, could you please administer the oath to Ray Harden, please?
Sure. Ray, can you raise your right hand? I, Ray Harden,
I, Ray Harden,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the powers and duties
and I will faithfully discharge the powers and duties
as village trustee in East Hampton
as village trustee in East Hampton
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say I look forward to having Ray's expertise as we start to reopen, because I think construction is one of the key things to get open out here when we have the chance. So I'm looking forward to your input there, Ray.
Yep. And we can sure do it in a safe way for sure.
Yeah, Ray, I'd like to welcome you to the board as well. This was never a personal thing. And I probably would have voted for you in the election if it was coming up next month. But as Rose said in her comments, it's a process.
I totally understand. Totally understand. Thank you.
Congratulations and welcome to the board, Ray. And you know, this wasn't about you or your competency. It was more about the process.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody for your comments. I appreciate them, even though I didn't totally agree with them, but I do respect your comments and I respect the way that you feel. And I appreciate that. So can we begin with the resolutions, please? Trustee Borzak, could you read?
We have public hearings first, Mayor.
Yes, there are 2 public hearings.
Yeah, sorry. June, could you read the legislative intent, please, for the first one?
Certainly. Introductory number 3, 2020, a local law authorizing a property tax levy in excess of the limit established in General Municipal Law, subsection 3-C. It is the intent of this local law to allow the Village of East Hampton to adopt a budget for the fiscal year commencing August 1st, 2020, that requires a real property tax levy in excess of the tax levy limit as defined by General Municipal Law, subsection 3-C.
Becky?
Yes, as was presented to the village board at the work session last week was the 2021 tentative budget. The current proposed budget does propose piercing the tax cap. The amount of the levy cap this year, as per the comptroller's office, was $363,515. The proposed budget before the board for consideration has a real property tax levy increase of $414,198, which is $50,583 over the proposed cap. It has been the board's custom in the past each year, whether the adopted budget pierced the cap or not, to have the legislation in place in case there was an issue during the course of the fiscal year and additional revenue may have been needed, or from the time that the tentative budget was proposed to the time that the adopted budget is adopted by the board, that you might need to change and actually increase the revenue on the property tax cap side.
Thank you. Anybody, any comments?
I think it's a very conservative budget, and I appreciate all the village administrators' work on it. It's been a difficult year to plan a budget, so thank you.
Yes, I agree with that, Becky. Thank you very much, and thank you to your staff for all the hard work that they do every day, but in particular during budget season. It's not an easy thing to do, particularly with all the demands on you. And I know all the departments are always looking for new equipment, as they should be, but there's only so much money to go around, and it's very difficult a job to decide, exactly where we're going to spend our money. And I appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, Becky.
You're welcome.
Okay. Number 2, June, could you read the
Mayor,
legislative?
can you Mayor, you do need to close the hearing.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Do I have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. So carried. Thank you, Becky. Okay, so number 2, June, could you read the legislative intent and purpose, please?
Sure. Public hearing pursuant to New York State General Municipal Law, subsection 247, with respect to the acceptance of a scenic and conservation easement from 25 Cove Farm Robot LLC and 25 Cove Farm Unicorn LLC by the Village of East Hampton over property located at 25 Cove Farm, East Hampton, also known and designated on the Suffolk County tax map as 301-0112.00, 10.00-005.000.
Okay, thank you. Becky, are you going to comment on this, or Ken, if he's here?
I would either that or if Beth wanted to.
Okay, Beth.
I can comment on it. Just so the board, just to revisit this easement is actually a restatement of an easement that's already existed on this property. However, their concern was that the easement provided for a limited access to Georgia Pond, but due to the topography of this, it provided limited access to Georgia Pond, but it also said that no structures. So, but due to the topography, this specific property would not have any access without stairs. And so the intent was to allow them to have stairs, which they have had for the past 20 years, 30 years, something like 28 years specifically. It's just making sure they're not in conflict with their easement. I don't think the intent was to ever not allow them to have stairs. And so this way, everybody's kind of on the same page and everything to address future issues. So they don't have any issues in the future with regard to their stairs. It's kind of figuring out for everybody here. So that's why we're restating. Otherwise, the easement is exactly the same. We're not changing anything else there. The stairs, they're putting in new stairs, which have been approved by the zoning board. So this is just addressing the issue with the easement.
Thank you. Anybody, any comments? Anybody from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think that every robot and every unicorn needs to have stairs.
Okay. Anybody else?
I have no problem with the allowance of these stairs and restating the.
Anybody else?
I'm good.
No problem.
A motion to close the hearing, please.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None. Obviously opposed? None. So carried. All right, so now we can move on to resolutions.
Okay.
Trustee Borzak, please.
I'm going to make a motion to appoint Philip O'Connell to the Zoning Board of Appeals and appoint as Vice Chairman effective June 1st, 2020.
A second. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So carried.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to appoint Bruce A.T. Siska to the Planning Board and appoint as Chairman effective June 1st, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So carried.
Next, I'd like to make a motion to approve the claim vouchers for the month of May.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. So carried.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve warrants number 55, 59, and 60 from the general fund, number 54 from the trust fund, numbers 56 and 57 from the LoSAP fund, and number 61 from the capital fund.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. So carried.
I'd like to make a motion to approve budget transfer schedule number 1, reference number 10, dated May 11th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. So carried.
Okay, and I'd like to make a motion to approve the departmental reports as written.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So carried.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt as local law number 4-2020, introductory number 3-2020, a local law authorizing a property tax levy in excess of the limit established in general municipal law, section 3-C.
So moved. Second, sorry.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. So carried.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 23-2020 to accept the scenic and conservation easement from 25 Cove Hollow Farm Robot LLC and 25 Cove Hollow Farm Unicorn LLC over property located at 25 Cove Hollow Farm Road, Suffolk County Tax Map number 301-12-10-5.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. So carried.
Make a motion to employ Matthew J. McPherson as Department of Public Works groundkeeper, step 1, effective May 16th, 2020, with a probationary period of 6 months at the starting salary of $48,494.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. So carried.
Make a motion to appoint Arthur S. Graham as Chairman of the Planning and Zoning Committee, effective immediately.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And I'm not voting on that, right?
You abstain? Yeah, okay. So, okay, where are we? So passed and carried.
Make a
Number
motion.
11? I'm sorry.
Number
go ahead.
11, make a motion to adopt resolution number 24-2020 to deem as surplus and authorize the transfer of a train bell to the Railroad Museum of Long Island, located in Riverhead. Please refer to the correspondence received May 8th from David Collins.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. So carried. And I just want to, excuse me 1 minute, Detective Rose. I just want to thank Sheila and Dr. Jerome DeCas for their generosity in donating this bell. Thank you.
Number 12, make a motion to deem surplus and approve disposal of 139 shopping carts as per Chapter 235 shopping carts and approve for sale by online auction with the acceptance of bid that meets or exceeds minimum bid set and approve disposal of unsold carts.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
I'd like to make a motion to employ Jonda Stillwell at $18 an hour and Francine Hanford at $15 an hour as 2020 seasonal tour guides at both Home Sweet Home and the Gardner Mill Cottage, effective immediately or as soon as we are able to open those facilities.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
Make a motion to notice to bidders for the Department of Public Works sidewalk contract with a bid opening to be held on Tuesday, June 9th, 2020 at 2 p.m.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
Make a motion to notice to bidders for the Department of Public Works curbs and aprons contract with a bid opening to be held on Tuesday, June 9th, 2020 at 2 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
Make a motion to notice to bidders for the below listed general services with the bid openings to be held on June 23rd, 2020 at 2 p.m. at Village Hall. The services are cesspool pumping services, HVAC heating maintenance, plumbing services, tree maintenance, trimming and removal, cleaning of Herrick Park restrooms, electrical work, pest control, drilling, trenching, missiling, fire suppression system maintenance, fire department OSHA physicals.
Second, anybody?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
Make a motion to approve the $19,908.70 proposal received from Delalio South Fork Asphalt for permanent pavement patch at listed locations in the Department of Public Works Superintendent David Collins memo dated May 1, 2020.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
And also, lastly, I would like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 25-2020, authorizing an agreement with the Suffolk County Water Authority for pavement restoration reimbursement in the amount of $334,143.50. And that's in reference to a May 6th memo from David Collins with attachment.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried. Trustee Harden, could you read the next four, 19 through 22, please?
Sure. I make a motion to notice to bidders for the 2020 lease of Sea Spray Cottage number 8 with the bid opening to be held Monday, June 1st, 2020, 2 p.m. at Village Hall.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
Okay, I make a motion to approve proposed agreements with the town of East Hampton for fire protection and ambulance service for the East Hampton Water Supply District and Northwest Fire Protection District, and authorize the mayor to execute same upon approval of the town.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
I make a motion to approve the $8,000 upgrade to the existing Marine audio log digital voice recording system from Mayday Communications. Please refer to Chief Tracy's memo with attachment.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
I make a motion to adopt resolution number 26-2020, approving the Herrick Park design plan by Laguardia Design Group.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried. And I'll read the last two. I make a motion to adopt resolution 27-2020, all current building permits which expire pursuant to section 104-7A of the Village Code in May or June shall be granted an additional 60 days from the date of this resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, so carried. Next is to make a motion to accept low bids received from Firematic Supply Company, Chief Fire and Safety Equipment, South Shore Fire and Safety, and Coastal Fire Systems for assorted equipment for the fire department as per the May 12, 2020 bid specifications. Referred to copy of bid results.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. So carried. That concludes our business for today. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I just want to say one thing,
Yeah,
Rick.
sure.
I appreciate everything today. I look forward to working with everybody. And let's do what's right for the village.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, and I agree. Couldn't agree
Yeah.
more. Thank you very much, Ray.
Thank you.
Yeah, we look forward to working with you too, pal.
Thank you.
I also just have something. The school district contacted me a couple of weeks ago about their graduation. And as we know, with COVID, everything has changed. And they're trying to find a way to make the graduation ceremony for the seniors as special as it can be. And I really, I appreciate all of their efforts to do that. And they were asking us as a village board if we would let them display lawn signs at the village green to acknowledge each graduate. And we all decided that that was something we definitely would like them to be able to do. So the graduation is June 26th, and about a week before the graduation, the school district will put the lawn signs by the windmill, which will acknowledge each graduating senior, and then they'll bring those lawn signs to the high school for the actual graduation ceremony on the 26th. I believe there's about 200 graduates. And, you know, any way that we can help make that day as special as we can for them, since they've gone through so many disappointments, you know, so many things canceled, ceremonies canceled, award ceremonies. The graduation is very different. It's going to be virtual really for all of the family members, except for one car that comes with the graduate up to the high school to receive the diploma. And, you know, for many of them, they walked out on March 15th, thinking they were going to have a long weekend, never really stepping back to the high school as a student ever again. So any way that we can acknowledge and commemorate it, I'm happy to be part of, and I know all of us agreed right away to it. So just to let everyone know.
Great idea.
Yeah. And that's a case of how this board works together. I mean, it was an absolute no-brainer. And congratulations to all the graduating seniors.
Absolutely.
You agree. Congratulations to all of them, and thank you, Rose, for helping to make this happen. I think it's a great thing for the graduates. It's obviously not going to be the same as a real graduation, but anything we can do as a community to acknowledge their tremendous efforts for all the years they've been in high school is I think a great thing. So thank you again, Rose.
And there are 4 alumnus on this board, so we are all of them.
That's right. Absolutely. Okay, anybody else? Any other comments? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.